At first, I assumed it was a loose pipe, then an intern with rhythm issues, then, horribly, cosmically, my mother. There was a moment, brief, cardiac, the kind of realization that arrives not like thunder, but like a falling filing cabinet with excellent posture. The black goat of the woods herself, visiting, unannounced. Again, she has hooves after all, and the unfortunate habit of turning every family reunion into a fertility festival / mandatory workshop. My many hearts spasmed at the thought. I haven't vacuumed the summoning sigil since the last solstice. The dust alone could start a ritual. Or, knowing her, a prenatal myth making seminar. Another clock. Closer now. Confident. The kind of gate that suggested either godhood or someone who knows they're not going to be held legally accountable. I found myself staring at the nearest bookshelf, as if a row of illuminated treatises on Proto-Greek punctuation might leap down, assume legal form, and represent me in whatever eldritch custody battle was about to erupt. Mother, I called, softly, just in case the invocation worked. The word echoed back through the library's marble corridors like a bad idea seeking validation. For one terrible heartbeat, I felt like Simba calling out to Mufasa. If Mufasa had cloven feet, 6 uteruses, and a deeply misguided newsletter about divine fertility rites. But there was no answer. No anthropomorphic lion in the sky, with a CNN anchor's voice. Only the faint scent of sugar and pastries, which, frankly, did not help. Not unless we were about to reenact the nativity with croissants and eldritch trauma. That's when I realized the hoofbeats weren't approaching. They were circling, deliberately, tauntingly, around me. The rhythm was steady, like a metronome set to polite mockery. Naturally, I performed my due diligence and investigated. My first stop was the shape-shifting theology department. It loomed just ahead. As you might expect, every column judges your posture and blames you for things before you do them. You need 2 library cards to get into this wing of the Interdimensional Library. One to check out books. The second for smiting insurance. You know, just in case. 2 angels hovered near a lectern. Parchment stretched between them like a glowing lawsuit. They had the look of celestial administrators who'd spent millennia arguing over margins and somehow made it a moral calling.
I'm telling you,
one said, halo tilted at an accusatory angle.
One of the horses is gone.
The other drew himself up, feathers rustling with bureaucratic pride.
Impossible. We checked the stables. Last trumpet. 4 horsemen. 4 horses. You can't misplace a horse that's prophesied.
The golden quill jabbed toward the parchment.
Then explain this expense report. Pestilence claimed feed cost for 5. The budget only covers 4, unless someone's cloning again.
Don't start that rumor.
Hushed the other.
Last time someone accused death of a breeding program, we had to hold a symposium.
I cleared my throat. Both jumped like a house cat midair as if they'd been summoned to a divine tribunal. Wings locked, halos flickering. The instinctive paralysis of bureaucrats caught mid-debate. The taller one recovered first. Tone full but brittle.
Director Cthulhu, head librarian, you're early.
Early implies the universe is on schedule. I let the words settle, heavy as theology itself. They nodded rapidly, eager to agree with cosmic grammar.
Apologies, sir. We weren't expecting oversight.
Not oversight. I folded a tentacle. Investigation. Hoofbeats. That word landed like blasphemy. One of them fluffed his wings, nervous.
Hoofbeats? Inside the library?
Precisely. Heard them near this department. I'm tracing the source. Another glance. Quick, guilty, unionized.
there have been reports.
The taller hovered closer to me as if I was his BFF with a big secret.
A horse may have bolted during the rehearsal for Revelation 37. We've been pretending it was symbolic ever since.
Perhaps it isn't a horse. My voice lowered. Perhaps it's my mother. Silence fell, sanctified and awkward. The first angel smiled the way bureaucrats smile when they sense an eternal audit approaching.
Oh, her. Right. She's technically out of scope for New Testament jurisdiction.
His partner nodded quickly.
Jesus vetoed her cameo ages ago. Said she disrupted tone consistency.
A single feather drifted to the floor. Nobody moved.
Hey, boss man. If it's all right with you, could you keep this under wraps for now? Just until we figure it all out? Not trying to hide anything from the big guy, just trying to audit our audit. You feel me?
Consider it done. My tone came out lower than intended. Too confident. Too cinematic. For a moment, I almost felt spiffy. After all, it's not every day you know something Yahweh doesn't. They bowed, not in worship, but in survival instinct, and vanished in a puff of bureaucratic competence, leaving behind the faint smell of sanctimony and horse glue. And I was, dear listener, still quietly nursing the old embarrassment of being rejected by Yahweh himself, then a younger, more ambitious eldritch horror applying for apostleship, told quite firmly that Judas had already been cast. More on that later. Anyway, my efforts still coming up empty and barren, my fears returned. So naturally, fearing the worst possible visitor, my mother, who is worse than Yog Sothoth's compliance inspector, and even worse still even than Croissant-chan during a frosting spiral, I consulted Dewey, our resident archivist, janitor of logic, occasional enforcer of causality, and when pressed, the most frustratingly competent therapist to have ever corrected my neurosis with bullet points. His holographic projection flickered to life, beside a filing alcove, mid-glide through some unseen quantum document. Arms folded, posture immaculate, expression calibrated to, I've already anticipated your question and am bored by its arrival. A subtle glow hovered behind his pupils, suggesting he had already reviewed 14 outcomes, rejected 13, and was disappointed by my choice of the 14th.
At this time, there aren't any unauthorized fauna currently cataloged, which means your mother is not here.
He lectured and reassured, looking at me as if I was a small octopus teething at his first bite, pivoting in place like a sentient screensaver. I stared at him. You're certain? I asked, already aware I was about to be condescended to with the weight of 1,000 terabytes. Because I distinctly hear something with hooves, I added, pacing the marble like an impatient godparent deciding whether to bestow blessings or litigation. Dewey's projection fuzzed, just for a nanosecond, a polite ripple of static. The AI equivalent of inhaling sharply through the nose before filing a support ticket.
You also said the espresso machine in the staff lounge was your mother giving birth.
He replied flatly, his voice smoother than polished obsidian and twice as judging.
We both remember how that ended.
It sounded like her, I immediately reminded him or tried to. The hissing, the shrieking, the overwhelming scent of milk and despair.
Yes, that would be steam, pressure buildup, and expired oat milk.
There was light.
That was the on switch, sir.
It screamed my true name in 3 directions simultaneously.
That was the milk frother. It was jammed. Madeline fixed it with a butter knife and a thread.
I scowled, flaring my outermost sensory fronds. You weren't even there.
I was the one holding the fire extinguisher.
I folded my arms and tentacles, all of them, and attempted a stern academic glare. Whatever. So you're saying there's no horse?
Correct, no equine entities, spectral or otherwise, no hooves in the east corridor, no cloven anomalies detected on any acoustic scan. The only thing pacing is you and your internal monologue.
Then who, or what, is clip-clopping its way toward my office with the confidence of an unpaid guard? Dewey paused to possibly calibrate, accessing the kind of silence typically reserved for funerals and rebooting service.
I suggest...
He said at last, with the clinical tone of a refrigerator diagnosing your personality flaws.
You consult a Vistarchi or Madeline who might validate your hoof-related anxieties.
They always validate them, I reminded him perhaps a bit too impatiently, already pacing. Last time she handed me a sticker that said, "Reality is hard."
It is.
Dewey agreed.
Especially for you.
The hoofbeats started again, closer now, echoing through the corridor like judgment in surround sound. I rushed past Dewey's hologram and slammed myself like a sponge against the wall, ear firmly pressed against it. Oh no. The words left my mouth in lowercase, dragging a question mark behind them like a wounded animal. Oh no, no, no. Not again.
Sir.
You don't understand, Dewey. That rhythm, that confident rhythm, that's maternal gait. You can tell from the echo. Every step says, I brought you into this universe and I can remove you from it.
Sir.
I still have trauma from the last visitation. 3 days of primordial ooze therapy, 2 nervous breakdowns, and a restraining order that technically predates time. She'll find me. She always finds me. She probably is the clip-clop. No, she commands the clip-clop. The walls are already judging. The air smells like milk and consequence.
Sir.
Dewey interrupted gently.
The espresso machine can't hurt you anymore.
Time itself performed a small courtesy pause, the kind polite people make when someone drops a glass in a restaurant. As for me, I tried to collect my dignity from the metaphysical floor. There was a long pause, just me and the hoofbeats, and Dewey's gaze tracking me like an automated incident log.
Anyway,
He continued, tone carefully neutral in the way only someone vastly intelligent could be, while exchanging pleasantries with the cadence of someone scheduling a root canal.
also, I've banned all espresso machines within a 100-meter radius of your workspace, as per your request.
I stared at him, stupefied. I don't remember giving that order, I said, suspicion oozing from every syllable, and then he dematerialized. The sort of digital exit one makes after realizing the conversation is about to involve feelings. And thus, I was left alone, with hoofbeats, and dread, and the faint treacherous scent of sugar in the air. I envy AI sometimes, not for their processing power, their memory, or their quantum elegance, but for their ability to leave mid-spiral. I, tragically, am still here. Naturally, I made a final inspection in the wing. I'd explicitly told myself I wasn't going to visit, on account of dignity, restraint, and that one unfortunate incident involving yoga mats cursed by Freya's Pinterest board. The temporal break room greeted me with its usual scent profile. Ozone, coconut oil, and the faint musk of divine overconfidence. The light flickered with the sort of ambient shimmer usually reserved for mood lighting in celestial spas or particularly aggressive EDM rituals. Thor was mid-stretch, and by stretch I mean sprawled upside down in what I can only describe as a reverse thunderbolt eagle position. Lightning crackling down his deltoids like sleepy ferrets. Golden hair flowing dramatically despite the room's complete lack of wind. He looked up and grinned, haloed by the self-generated glow of someone who had just made peace with the universe by flexing at it.
Oh hey, well if it isn't the Great Space Calamari, what's up big guy?
He beamed.
You checking out my thunder poses?
No, I said slowly. I'm checking for horses. He hummed to himself. nodded, and assumed a thoughtful squatting pose that I assume was either meditative or orthopedic.
Ah, yeah, okay, this is about your mom, isn't it?
I froze. What?
You're hearing hoofbeats.
He said gently, as though explaining trauma to a deer.
In your brain's like, bam! Black go to the woods. She's back. She brought the cheese knives. That's textbook myth parent stress, dude. Wanna hop in? We can do a few grounding stretches, get that whole Freud complex out of your chakras. No espresso machines this time, promise.
I narrowed all 31 eyes. Have you been talking with Dewey?
What? No, man.
Thor said, now balancing on one hand.
I was the one who handed Dewey the fire extinguisher that time. I saw it, remember? You screamed, "She's crowning," and launched a mug into the ceiling. Classic! I gotta say, your mom sounds like a real hoot and a holler.
For the record, my mom doesn't hoot and holler, I suggested, trying to get out the door. She descends in waves of teeth and maternal disappointment.
Exactly!
Thor clapped, delighted.
That's what I'm saying. Sounds like you got a little...
He spun upside down and did a stretch that would have broken most vertebrae.
Ancestral baggage. You ever try trauma sun salutations? Changed my life. Wanna hop in?
I would rather summon the IRS.
Bro, that's exactly the kind of blockage that horse yoga clears out. And I'm not horsing around about it.
I don't have a blockage, Thor. I have an interdimensional infestation of hoofbeats that no one else can hear, possibly sent by my womb-adjacent maternal progenitor. Thor did a gentle warrior pose and said,
Cool, cool, cool. So you're spiraling.
I'm not spiraling.
You're monologuing while pacing in a circle. That's a spiral with extra dialogue.
I stopped myself from pacing in a circle. I do not pace in circles, in fact. He pointed.
Left hoof, or tentacle, just completed a full circumference of that sacred fern. I've known you for a while, man.
I looked down. The fern looked smug.
Listen!
Thor continued, voice softening into a kind of Midgardian empathy TED Talk tone.
We all project sometimes. Once I thought the sound of dripping water meant Odin was crying. Turned out I'd left a protein shake in the sink for 3 weeks, but the lesson stuck.
Shut up. There are no horses here. None. At all. Goodbye. I closed the door with more finality than necessary, which is difficult when the door is frictionless and operated by a motion rune. Behind it, Thor called out cheerfully.
Love you too, bro. Breathe with your mental hooves. Also, I'm glad you got out of that elevator trap Zeus put you in that one time.
Ironically, as if Thor's Thunderjaw chakras had summoned them from the Pilates dimension, the hoofbeats returned the moment I turned away. They followed me with a level of confidence typically reserved for omens, debt collectors, or particularly smug interns. The sound echoed through the library's endless corridors, past the vault of forgotten inventions, past the vending machine that used to contain Freya, and onward through the sacred geography of my last nerve. Croissant-chan had insisted we keep the meat dispenser on payroll, even after Freya was rescued by a Norm with questionable credentials and a mystical can opener. But I digress. The hoofbeats were growing bolder, now pacing me at a distance of roughly 3 existential inches, sometimes behind me, sometimes ahead, and sometimes dead center where my dignity used to be. Then came the laughter. Not the pleasant kind mortals do when they're high on sitcoms and processed sugar. No, this was the crystalline tittering of conspirators. My own staff, echoing with the unmistakable cadence of, we did a thing and we're not sorry. It wafted from the lower halls like the scent of an impending HR violation. And that's when I figured it out. Of course it was coming from the Forge. Of course it was coming from the usual suspects. When something in the library breaks causality, physics or dress code, it is almost always the fault of one of my daughters. And so I followed the noise, hoofbeats now rising to a smug crescendo, until finally I reached the open door of Vistarchi's forge. Inside, the space glowed with molten serenity, that rare, impossible calm that only occurs in forges where, for once, nothing is currently exploding. The scent of metal and honeyed ash hung in the air. The forge itself throbbed gently, like a heart that knew something and wasn't telling. And there they were, gathered around a perfectly civilized tea table, as if they hadn't just been acoustically gaslighting me for the past hour. Madeline sat poised, sipping from an obsidian cup with the calm of a woman who had definitely approved this prank in advance. Vistarchi leaned against the anvil, speaking in her usual exhausted millennial mother tone. The one that said, "I have fixed so many narrative disasters today, I earned this chaos." And Croissant-chan naturally was bouncing in her chair, giggling like a pastry-themed war crime. And then, the hoofbeats again. Delicate, rhythmic, impossibly innocent. Followed by what I swear was chewing. I stepped into the forge and something crunched behind the forge curtain. "Is anyone," I called out as fast as I entered, "chewing gravel in here?" The laughter hiccuped, scattering across the forge like a bag of dropped marbles trying to form plausible deniability. Vistarchi's voice came first, mild as ever from somewhere behind the kettle's hiss.
Actually, it's just tea. We're civilized now.
"And something's parading endlessly in here," I said, stepping through the steam. "Unless you've all synchronized your footsteps, I'd call that a conspiracy." Croissant-chan gasped theatrically, pastry crumbs dusting her lap.
Could be Chesterfer. Madeline told him he can't eat at his desk anymore because he kept slobbering messes. So now he's trying to eat off the floor.
Madeline, seated near the tea service, reached calmly for the sugar tongs, set them down with deliberate care.
Yes. Well, he keeps begging me to feed him, and I told him to do it himself.
I scanned the room as one does in a place that changes its very foundation on a whim. The forge looked like a cross between a smithy and a picnic. Sunlight and heat spilling together, iron scent braided with pastry sugar. But then, noise. The unmistakable noises of a four-legged creature. I scanned again. No movement, no creature, only the warmth of a recently vacated space and the faint shimmer of displaced air, like heat haze, shaped by whimsy and one very poor decision. I was, dear listener, beginning to experience that particular existential confusion Lovecraft's characters describe when confronting gods like myself. "Did you hear that?" I asked, already bracing for betrayal. Madeline poured another cup of tea with the slow, deliberate grace of someone determined to remain unimpressed until the apocalypse proved itself aesthetically consistent.
Yes,
She said dryly.
that's the sound of our lunch break. I'm surprised you can hear it. You usually filter out anything pleasant.
I let out a small scoff, part offense, part reluctant pride. Her precision with words was almost admirable, in the same way an oncoming meteor is admirable. Concise, devastating, and impossible to ignore. Regardless, I pressed, straightening slightly. The sound is real. Someone or something is clip-clopping through this department, and I want to know why. And then, without warning, the pastry box on the table shivered. It gave the distinct impression of trying not to be suspicious, which, of course, is what suspicious things always try to do. It crept forward a single inch, stopped, paused, then slid another inch with the oily confidence of a croissant that had joined a cult. It reached the table's edge, hesitated dramatically, gave an insolent little wobble, and waited. Croissant-chan gasped, sprang to her feet like a sugar-fueled meerkat, and lunged for the box with the solemn, frantic precision of a toddler saving a birthday cake from an imagined predator. Flour streaked her hair like war paint.
He's back!
She cried, voice rising with the unhinged musicality of a caffeinated siren.
Or forward! Time is a carousel, and the unicorn rides the melody!
The sentence bent the physics of the room slightly just to make room for itself. Are you all? I gestured vaguely, hoping the physical motion would conjure sanity. Role-playing. Vistarchi didn't answer immediately. She was leaned against her anvil, all weary Forge Mother serenity and molten condescension. The kind of posture that says I've been through 4 wars, and you're acting like a thunderclap is impressive. Her hammer rested beside her, still radiating the smug warmth of a recently satisfied arcane weapon.
I mean,
She said at last, voice level.
I work in a magical forge. And that's from the horse's mouth.
Madeline and Croissant-chan snickered. I would have said something, but the very air shimmered again. Something hooved. Somewhere, a sugar cube crunched. Vistarchi, I began, trying to be the voice of reason and summoning the patience of an ancient deity on decaf. I am attempting to confirm whether your instruments of forging have started role-playing as horses.
Yeah, man. They do that sometimes. Theater kids at heart. Last week, the Hammers did a Beauty and the Beast number. One of them insisted on being the horse.
I stared at her for a long moment. Oh, okay. So we're all just a bunch of lying liars today. Excellent. I'll make a note. The forge went quiet again, save for the faint clink of a cooling anvil, the smug rhythm of invisible hooves, and the rising tension of reality holding its breath like a sitcom audience waiting for a reveal. There it is again, I shouted, standing so fast my chair skidded backward and protested against the floor. Is that a horse? Is it a goat? Is it Optimus Prime? What the unholy fucking shit is it? All of them burst out laughing at me, and for a moment I almost laughed myself because I was driving myself insane.
Dude, you really can't see it?
See what? My dentist? What am I supposed to see? Croissant-chan clutched at the air like she was catching invisible reins, then gasped, staggered back, and pointed at me as if I just voted against birthday cake.
He can't see it! Papa's gone blind to whimsy!
Impossible, I said, adjusting every metaphorical monocle I had. I have 22 kinds of sight, 3 of which can perceive bureaucracy at the molecular level. 3 of them can read sarcasm in dead languages. 1 of them can perceive bureaucracy on a quantum level. I can see the administrative afterimage of a sneeze. Madeline's eyes flicked toward the shimmer of the forge light. Her tone calm but traitorously amused.
Yet no unicorn. Curious.
I'm sorry, come again. Vistarchi tapped her hammer against the anvil. Once, twice, the sound ringing like punctuation.
You sure you're not just repressing fun again?
I do not repress fun, I declared. I simply do not have a lot of spare time. A light shimmered near the quench bucket, so faint I might have dismissed it as heat haze. I turned toward it. The air bent slightly, like glass under pressure. Hoofbeats, 4 of them, measured, patient. The sound of something unseen performing existence just to spite me. I hear it, I said slowly. I just don't see it. Madeline set her cup down with surgical precision.
That's progress. First comes auditory hallucination, then enlightenment.
Vistarchi smirked, resting her hammer across her knees.
Maybe he just doesn't believe hard enough.
Fascinating. If a god doesn't believe hard enough, does that make him an atheist?
Croissant-chan crouched near the shimmer, whispering conspiratorially into the air.
Wilbur, Papa's pretending not to see you again. It's rude.
I bristled, and my tentacles coiled. First of all, I am not pretending. I am engaging in rational disbelief. There's a difference. And second, who are you talking to? Madeline looked up from her tea, eyes cool and amused.
One produces research papers. The other produces happiness.
Exactly, I said, missing the insult entirely. Now, where is this Wilbur creature? Croissant-chan pointed straight at the nothing.
There! She's right there, chewing on the sugar cubes.
Of course she is. My sarcasm opening like a dam now. Because even imaginary livestock in this library have dietary concerns. Should I open up a wing for imaginary friends next? The air glittered again. Just a ripple, then stillness. The hoofbeats slowed to a stop, as though listening to my skepticism, then resumed. All three paused, realizing I was actually being quite serious about not seeing whatever reality they had ascended towards. They exchanged glances with each other. Even the tea looked confused.
Hey, Master Cthulhu?
Went Croissant-chan, voice full of pastry innocence.
You really can't see it?
See what?
The unicorn.
She says brightly.
Obviously.
I stare at the empty space. The air hums faintly, smugly. Ah, yes, you know, I actually do have a lot to say on unicorns, I began, tentacles coiling like outraged punctuation marks, because the word itself deserved nothing less than contempt sung in iambic thunder. First of all, they are not real. Unicorns are horses that have gentrified myth, glitter-coated, purity-branded, aggressively whimsicals. They're what happens when natural selection takes a sabbatical and marketing gets opposable thumbs. I have seen pantheons collapse under less self-importance. Madeline, unflappable as always, poured more tea.
And yet you wrote an 80-page paper defending the divinity of croissants.
Yes, I countered, because croissants exist, and unicorns once again do not. Unicorns are conceptual scams with hooves. They're basically cosmic influences. Croissant-chan clutched her pastry like it was a relic in danger.
Papa, be nice. She can hear you.
Good, I said. Maybe she'll take the hint and gallop back to whatever enchanted Pinterest board she escaped from. Then again, she can't, because she doesn't exist. Vistarchi leaned back against her anvil, palm resting casually on her tea-bloated stomach.
Yes, she does. Also, relax. It's just my emotional support unicorn, not your weird mother.
The temperature in the room dropped by several mythic degrees. Croissant-chan gasped as if someone had insulted a war goddess in her own shrine.
Hold on. Wait a minute. You really can't see her? Truly?
I can't see what doesn't exist, said Croissant-chan, suddenly serious, as though this were a medical emergency.
That's tragic. You can navigate 14 dimensions of non-linear chronology but miss one small, sparkly horse?
It's not there, I insisted again, voice growing tight. The hooves, the shimmer, the equine postmodernism, none of it. Madeline stirred her tea, calm as a surgeon in the middle of triage.
Maybe it's a perception filter.
She offered.
Stress, overwork, exposure to bureaucracy, very common symptoms.
Bureaucracy is not a hallucination trigger, I said, but my confidence faltered. A faint tinkling noise, like a bell muffled in velvet, came from behind me. I spun. Nothing. Only the smell of toasted sugar and steel. The others watched me quietly, not mockingly, just puzzled. Croissant-chan broke the silence first because of course she did.
Oh my eldritch! You really, absolutely, positively, truly don't see her!
No, I don't see it. What am I supposed to be seeing?
My emotional support unicorn.
Vistarchi replied, as if announcing the weather.
Obviously.
Obviously, I echoed, because when once sanity vacates the premises, it's polite to wave from the doorway. And this mythical steed of yours, does it come with a warranty? Or do I simply feed the delusion oats and compliments?
You're impossible.
She said.
Unicorns are real. Your disbelief is unreal.
So is a small loan of $1 million, Vistarchi? Madeline scoffed.
Oh, come off it! Master Cthulhu, you realize we live in an interdimensional building that occasionally rearranges its own floor plan out of boredom.
That's eldritch architecture, I countered, not fantasy.
And yet,
She continued,
we have a department devoted entirely to sentient pastries, a filing system that hums Gregorian chants when it overheats. And your favorite intern is a mimic who eats emotions for snacks.
I straightened up, affronted. Chesterford does not eat emotions. He metabolizes ambience. He's also a very good boy. Mostly. Madeline picked up her tea and looked out of the window, her French sarcasm seeping out of her pores.
Ah, pardon. And that, to you, is fine. But a horse with a decorative horn, that is where you draw the line of plausibility.
It is not a horn, it is a marketing ploy, I said, rising to full oratorical fury. Unicorns are the gentrification of myth, an equine pyramid scheme. They are to genuine creatures what scented candles are to alchemy, sanitized whimsy for people afraid of real wonder. She swirled her tea.
And we have a department of sentient pastries, a forge that hums lullabies to itself, and an employee who used to be trapped in a vending machine. But yes, the horse, well, unicorn actually, is the problem.
That's not the same,
Oh, of course it isn't.
she said lightly, eyes glinting.
Because your office view is the 100-acre woods. Perfectly ordinary. Nothing strange about that at all.
That's called cross-reality correspondence, I said, perhaps too loudly. A highly technical phenomenon. Madeline rested her chin on her hand, smirking.
You have a bear that brings you honey and gives you free therapy.
The bear is a friend.
The unicorn is our friend too, Papa!
Unicorns are not real. Vistarchi laid down on the forge floor and closed her eyes in repose.
Hey, Dad, you sound jealous.
Of a horse?
No, Miss Teen, USA. Yes, the unicorn.
Croissant-chan pointed at what I assumed was nothing again.
Papa! Look where the light bends!
I did, and this time the air shimmered faintly near the quench bucket. Not a shape, exactly. Just a disturbance, like something invisible refusing to be perfectly absent. And there it was again. The sound. 4 hooves. Deliberate and close. Again I hear something, I admitted slowly for the sake of compromise, but I can't locate it. Vistarchi opened her eyes, gave her sisters a look, half curious with slight older sister concern than alarmed.
Interesting.
Croissant-chan crouched lower, talking into the shimmer.
Wilbur! Papa's broken again!
Oh hey, about that! Did you just call your imaginary friend Wilbur? What is he? A talking pig who knits affirmations into spiderwebs? She gasped.
How dare you! Wilbur is a noble soul! He has a saddle blessed by moonlight and a cutie mark and emotional stability.
That's it, I growled. I'm canceling your Disney Plus subscription, effective immediately. We'll see how noble Wilbur feels when he's exiled from the pastel kingdoms of algorithmic friendship.
You wouldn't dare!
I would, and I'll block access to your Pinterest boards too.
barbarian!
Correct. I am an ancient barbarian who predates your streaming bundles and commemorative enamel pins. She stood, arms akimbo, haloed by the forge light like a rebellious bakery mascot about to start a musical number.
You don't get it! Wilbur isn't just a unicorn, he's the unicorn! He chose me!
Oh good, I mused, adjusting my sanity straps. We're in the chosen one phase of hallucination. That'll pair nicely with the incoming merch line and inevitable theme park litigation. Madeline took a dignified sip of her tea.
I think this conversation has achieved theological escape velocity.
The shimmer beside the forge neighed smugly. Madeline hid her smile behind her cup.
You know, maybe you're right, and we're all wrong, Master Cthulhu. Maybe it is your mother.
The forge lingered in that long, awkward quiet that follows a family argument no one quite wins. Steam curled along the rafters. Somewhere, a hammer sighed as it cooled. The smell of metal and pastry hung in the air like a truce neither side wanted to sign. Vistarchi was the first to move. She brushed a streak of soot across her apron, then exhaled like a bellows releasing pressure.
All right,
She said,
enough philosophy. We need a control.
Madeline arched a brow.
Control.
Yes. Someone who isn't us.
She gestured toward me without looking.
Someone with an uncomplicated relationship with reality.
I groaned, knowing there were only a select few people with that in mind. Excuse me, I am the gold standard of reality,
You're the gold standard of cosmic paperwork.
she said.
Reality is a separate metric.
Croissant-chan perked up, already too pleased with the idea.
So, we're doing science now. Ooh, can I hold the unicorn? She listens to me better.
No one is holding anything, I said, especially the concept of invisible livestock. Madeline stood, smoothing her skirt with unnecessary precision.
She has a point, though. We could prove it one way or another. Find someone neutral, someone simple.
Her eyes flicked upward, not cruelly, but with the inevitability of a chess move. Oh no, I said, absolutely not. We are not involving him. Vistarchi tilted her head, feigning innocence.
Who? Thor?
I said no. Croissant-chan gasped dramatically, clutching her chest as though I denied her dessert.
But he's perfect! He sees everything in lightning poses. If he sees her, it means she's real.
If he sees her, I remarked, with all the enthusiasm of a cursed diagnostic chart, it means he's concussed again. Vistarchi poured the last of her tea into the quench bucket, the hiss punctuating her verdict.
Too late. Decision made.
She wiped her hands, grabbed a rag and started toward the door.
Let's bring the unicorn to Thor. Worst case, he electrocutes the truth out of it.
Madeline sighed, but there was a spark of amusement under it.
A peer-reviewed method, no doubt.
Croissant-chan was already trotting ahead, humming something that suspiciously resembled a marching tune. The forge lights followed her like curious fireflies. I lingered a moment longer, watching the shimmer of the quench bucket fade back into still water. The hoofbeats had quieted, as if the creature itself was listening, waiting to see if I'd follow. Fine, I relented to no one in particular. We'll humor the hallucination. Wave of ozone, sweat and coconut oil rolled out like a personal statement. Inside, Thor stood upside down in what I think mortals call a handstand, lightning tracing lazy constellations across his shoulders. The room smelled like the beach scene in a cologne commercial that had given up on plot.
Oh, hey,
He said, flipping upright in one fluid motion.
Space Calamari and Company. Didn't expect guests mid-flow. Come on in.
We tried to knock.
He grinned, wiping his hands on a towel that might once have been holy.
Yeah, the thunder drowned stuff out. My bad.
Croissant-chan darted past him immediately, holding out her pastry box like a sacred relic.
Hey, Thor, can you see her?
He briefly looked lost, which messed up his balance. Then he hit the mat and bounced back up with a grin that had no idea what gravity was.
Whoa, hey, see who? Who's here?
The unicorn!
She said, practically vibrating.
She's right here!
Thor squinted at the empty space, then at her, then back again.
Okay, is this one of the big squid's fancy librarian things? Because I don't want to, misinterpret anyone's inner child.
You're not. And if it was, it would belong to the mythology section. In actuality, this is about a collective delusion I'm attempting to debunk. Thor lit up like a light bulb made out of steroids and Tropic Thunder memes.
Oh, nice, science! Hang on, let me grab my mat.
Why do you need a mat?
Vistarchi questioned, also following him for a mat to lay down on. I suppose she wanted to take a cat nap. I suppose pretending unicorns exist is tiring. But I digress.
So I can think better.
He said proudly, already unrolling it.
Science always goes better with stretching anyway. You gotta open the chakras of inquiry with a mat at your disposal.
Madeline gave me the kind of look that translates fluently into I told you so across multiple dimensions. Thor clapped his hands, a few lazy bolts of electricity snapping around his wrists like friendly snakes.
All right, cool. What am I observing today?
Okay, this is not supposed to be that hard. So, the unicorn in front of, do you see with your eyeballs an animal with 4 legs?
Croissant-chan said, enunciating each word as if talking to a very handsome, very stupid puppy. And I think she was becoming very aware he had the memory of a fruit fly as the joy dimmed from her face.
She's, invisible to Master Cthulhu for some reason.
Oh,
Thor said, nodding with the gentle awe of a man discovering gravity for the first time.
yeah, that totally tracks. I think.
Croissant-chan's eye twitched.
No, Thor, it's not a vibe. It's an actual unicorn.
Right, actual vibe.
He said, still nodding.
Got it.
Madeline rubbed her forehead, the way one might when reminded that hope is, in fact, a renewable resource.
He's like a golden retriever boyfriend.
She said, you should ask him out, I suggested, purely to observe the sociological fallout. It was an experiment in divine thermodynamics, specifically how quickly a thunder god and a French woman could generate heat before I had to repair the ceiling. She turned towards me. Then, after a pause long enough to make even the air nervous, she gave Thor an appraising glance. Not a romantic one, an assessment. The kind reserved for furniture that might one day be useful, but currently leaks electricity.
He'd have to compete.
She said.
With the peace and quiet in my life.
Thor, oblivious, was scanning the air with the half-focused look of someone who had never fully committed to reality. That surfer squint again. Divine and concussed all at once.
Oh, wait.
He said, pointing vaguely.
You mean right there? Next to the bucket thing?
Croissant-chan squealed.
He sees her!
Madeline looked at him over her teacup, with that faint, almost imperceptible lift of a brow that could sterilize an argument.
Well,
she said.
There you have it. Control confirmed.
She then walked up to his mat, stood in front of him, hand on her hip, and leaned towards him, face to face, voice perfectly even.
Hey, stupid boy. Want to go out with me?
Thor grinned, genuinely pleased.
Not yet. I just came from the outside and I want to be inside for a little longer. Big workout ahead.
Madeline nodded once, sipping her tea.
There's your answer.
She said, and I swear the universe actually blushed. I folded my tentacles, partly to look authoritative and partly to hide my second-hand embarrassment. Marvelous. Our scientific control is allergic to context. Thor crouched, studying the shimmer in the air with childlike curiosity.
She's kinda pretty, man.
Madeline glanced up automatically. One heartbeat of misplaced assumption, just enough for a faint color to rise in her cheeks before she realized he wasn't looking at her at all. I grinned at her like I was at her wedding. She scowled. She would get me back for this, but for now it was worth it.
Like if happiness had hooves, I love unicorns.
He looked back at me, still smiling.
You really can't see her?
No, I said more sharply than intended, and I failed to see why everyone is making such a big deal about this. Thor stood, brushing his hands on his shorts.
I don't know, man. Sometimes it's not about safety. Sometimes you just forget what it's like to play.
He paused, eyes unfocused, then drifted into that tone he gets, like he's narrating his own documentary.
You know, back when I was a kid, thunder wasn't a job. It was this big, wild jam session. I'd swing the hammer, lightning crash back, and I'd think, wow, the sky's improvising with me. But then Valhalla starts sending me paperwork, quotas, forecasts, lightning allocation per region. Next thing you know, I'm head of storm resources, approving rain requests with a following and paperwork just like, you know, the Captain Space Calamari over here. But yeah, so one day I'm up there filing cloud budgets, right? And I look down and realize I haven't actually felt a storm in centuries, just monitored it. And that's when this little invisible thing walks across my desk. Looked like a squirrel made of static and guilt. Cute little guy. I ask Heimdall if he sees it. He doesn't. Loki laughs, so I figure, okay, maybe I'm hallucinating due to low thunder sugar. But then I start noticing more of them, tiny glowing critters living between raindrops, munching on sound waves. Turns out they'd been there forever. Every laugh, every rumble, every clap of thunder, they were feeding off joy. And the moment I started drumming again instead of logging it, bam, whole menagerie shows up like I'd reopened the petting zoo of creation. And that's when it hit me. Magic doesn't vanish. It just gets bored waiting for us to stop auditing it.
He looked at me, expression somewhere between surface sage and celestial golden retriever.
So maybe that's what's happening to you, man. You're running the library so hard you forgot to like riff with it. The shelves probably hum when you're not around. I bet the staplers dance at night. You just stopped listening.
Madeline laid down next to Vistarchi, sharing wine she had procured from a nearby refrigerator.
And this insight, which honestly, in a weird way, makes sense, came to you during a thunderstorm?
Technically during a mid-storm espresso.
Thor said.
Long story, bad foam ratio.
Vistarchi turned to Madeline, who was nodding along.
This explains so much about the global weather patterns.
He grinned at me again.
Point is, dude, maybe the unicorn isn't hiding. Maybe she's just waiting for you to stop taking attendance.
I folded my arms. I do not take attendance.
Yeah?
He said, nodding kindly.
That's exactly what the roll sheet of reality would say.
Madeline, reflecting on Thor's unorthodox wisdom, looked at him with fresh eyes, it seemed.
The golden retriever actually brings up some great points.
Thor did some more yoga poses and put his hand on my face for balance.
You ever think maybe you're too busy managing the universe to actually live in it, friend?
That's preposterous, I said automatically. I live in it every day and get off my face.
Yeah, I hear you.
Thor said, smiling faintly.
But to me, man, and I know you lead a very different life than many of us, but you don't seem to really look at it.
I folded my arms, every tentacle crossing for emphasis. I look at everything, Thor. Observation is literally my brand. I have seen the birth of galaxies and the tax returns of gods. I have looked into the true heart of matter and found unpaid overtime. He nodded sagely, as though I'd just confirmed his thesis.
Cool, but maybe take a closer look, big guy. Try to really see the unicorn and all that life has to offer. Hear its hooves not as your mother approaching, but as life offering you a chance to clop your happy feet.
He gestured to the shimmer in the air, that infuriating nothing. I squinted at it, determined to find a flaw. That's condensation.
It's the unicorn, bro, and it wants to get to know you.
It's humidity with a superiority complex. Thor's smile widened.
You know what? I want you to reach out and touch it. Will you do that for me and your daughters? Let's see that big eldritch squid dad energy.
I beg your finest pardon.
Go on, man. Pet the unicorn. It's good for your aura. It might even keep your mom away longer.
Thor, I do not have an aura. I have a gravitational signature. Auras are for spa brochures and soft-headed prophets.
Exactly,
He said.
That's your problem.
Madeline pulled out a bag of popcorn and shared it around the room. Oh, this should be good, in the tone of a woman watching an opera where everyone dies fashionably. Vistarchi leaned on her hammer.
You break it. You fix it, by the way.
Croissant-chan was vibrating with excitement.
Hey, good for you. You're gonna make a new friend.
I am not, I began, but it was too late. The peer pressure had achieved critical mass. I extended one tentative tentacle toward the air, purely for the sake of academic demonstration. The moment I made contact, the world hiccuped. Suddenly, and dare I say magnificently, warmth infiltrated. Texture blossomed. A low hum, like a harp played by daydream even. The shimmer resolved into something vaguely equine, glistening in colors not yet discovered by the Crayola brand. For one terrible, wondrous moment, I could almost see it. Grace incarnate, myth restored, perfection rendered in ridiculous sparkles. And then it vomited, all over me. A rainbow hairball the size of a cantaloupe exploded across my chest, shimmering with the viscosity of divine justice. The unicorn sneezed again, an elegant shimmering whomp, and deposited another rainbow mass onto the floor. This one didn't bounce. It oozed, humming faintly, like a bubblegum sermon reconsidering its life choices. I had barely understood what just happened when Croissant-chan clapped her hands.
Oh, yay! Morale paste.
Morale warmed. Madeline, unruffled, dabbed delicately at her teacup.
Library policy. Recreational manifestations of joy may be converted into morale credits. You play. You get paid. It's how we avoid emotional stagnation in the staff.
So, I said slowly, we have a financial system partly denominated in unicorn mucus.
Technically, it's classified as recreational material,
Vistarchi said.
non-toxic, edible, occasionally sentient.
Thor, still half inverted on his mat, brightened.
Dude, that's awesome. You can literally play with your food. I love this place.
He sounded like a man reviewing Reality 5 stars on Yelp. They were already kneading the substance into shapes. Croissant-chan made a crooked heart. Vistarchi rolled a tiny hammer. Madeline, of course, sculpted a miniature bureaucrat, handed it an invoice, and taxed it. And I, surrounded by grown immortals making finger art from Technicolor effluvium, felt civilization wheeze. No, I declared. I will not participate in recreational accountancy. Article 3 of the Fiscal Sanity Charter forbids whimsy-based revenue. Madeline tapped her stylus.
Compliance audit, then. Participation mandatory.
Croissant-chan leaned forward, sugar-eyed.
Oh, come on. Just one sculpture. Make something fun. It's called morale enrichment.
Fun, I said, is a gateway drug to chaos. Thor grinned.
Yeah, man, that's the point.
Cornered by bureaucracy and optimism and unicorn throw-up, three forces deadlier than entropy, I snatched a lump of the rainbow dough. It quivered, judgmental. Fine, I relented with the weight of Oprah Winfrey's bank account. Observe art. They did, all of them. I could feel their collective gaze pressing against me like 1,000 unfiled reports. I rolled the dough flat. It squeaked faintly, which felt disrespectful. Somewhere between rolling and pretending I knew what I was doing, my hands betrayed me. Fingers retreating, tendrils unfurling. I hadn't chosen tentacles. They happen when I'm being watched. A physiological humiliation response, like blushing. If blushing could knock over furniture. Handles, spout, pressure valve. My newly rebellious limbs worked on instinct. Horrifying, clinical instinct. The more I tried to appear competent, the more they flailed like a diplomatic scandal. One got stuck to the table, another slapped itself in protest. The dough, sensing weakness, stuck to everything but the part I needed it to. I cleared my throat. Well, the key, I announced to no one in particular, is maintaining even pressure. Consistency is the soul of. The sculpture collapsed like a souffle under moral scrutiny. A single tentacle twitched. I pretended it was deliberate. Of structure. We can, of course, recover from this setback. Silence. Utter pristine silence. The kind of silence that only truly thrives in the presence of incompetence. I briefly thought about summoning Zeus to do something stupid to distract everyone, and then I continued. The critical flaw lies in the malleability coefficients. This material lacks respect. It has no sense of hierarchy. I tried to reassemble it. It wobbled in protest, gasped, and began to resemble a squid suffering an identity crisis. I see potential, I lied to everyone. This is the early phase of artistic emergence. All great art looks like tragedy at first. Another tentacle flopped over the side. I reattached it with what I hoped was dignity. I became acutely aware that I was sweating. Eldritch beings don't sweat, however. We condense atmosphere out of spite. The dough squeaked again. I scowled at it. Don't back talk. Still, something shifted. The longer I fussed, the less I thought about the witnesses. My movements slowed, softened. I adjusted weight by instinct instead of reason. The dough yielded, gently this time. Its colors bled together in iridescent streaks, catching the lamplight. For a moment it wasn't failure. It was fluid, warm, almost alive. I realized dimly that my tentacles had stopped shaking, and then at the very edge of my vision the shimmer thickened, like light remembering how to dance. A faint outline took form beside me. I didn't look directly. I didn't dare. Ah, I said, half to the sculpture, half to the presence I was pretending not to believe in. So that's the trick. You don't see it. You just stop needing to. Silence again. Still no applause. Just the quiet, unbearable weight of being witnessed doing something that didn't involve paperwork. The lump vibrated. Steam hissed. The miniature machine took form, glossy and malevolent. Croissant-chan gasped.
Oh my eldritch! It's beautiful!
Thor straightened, beaming.
Wow, man, I'm blown away, for real. You totally captured, like, maternal terror in appliance form.
Madeline folded her arms.
Does this mean we can have espresso machines in the office again?
The dough hummed, then solidified with a cheerful ding. And there it was, Dear listener, a perfect espresso machine sat on the table, chrome, self-satisfied, and already brewing something that smelled like Starbucks and throw up from My Little Pony. I backed away. It's her. She's back. She's crowning again. Steam hissed through the nozzle in 3 languages. Vistarchi wiped her eyes, fighting laughter.
Therapeutic progress noted.
Thor crouched beside the machine, awestruck.
This is incredible, man. It's like an emotional venti latte with extra pumps of unicorn ingredients mixed in.
Please stop forming words together like that, I said, beginning to realize how I have allowed my mother to live rent-free in my head. The machine sputtered and produced a single shot of glittering rainbow foam. The cup materialized underneath automatically, which somehow made it worse. Croissant-chan offered it to me.
Drink it.
I refused to ingest technicolor trauma. Madeline sighed.
Consider it exposure therapy.
I stared at the cup. It shimmered, part espresso, part regret. I took a reluctant sip. Warmth, sweetness, the faint taste of paperwork burning correctly. I lowered the cup. Acceptable. Croissant-chan cheered.
See? You can literally play with your food.
Fine, I said, defeated. But I'm taxing whimsy at 40%. The unicorn snorted and promptly produced another rainbow wand. Payment rendered. Thor laughed, clapping me on the back.
See, dude? Economic enlightenment. You're like a fiscal Buddha now.
I sighed. No, Thor. I am an auditor of the absurd. And somewhere, behind the laughter, I thought I heard the unicorn snicker. Soft, conspiratorial, and just a little too familiar. The room went dead silent. Somewhere a harp string snapped in shame. Madeline's voice was flat with French satire.
Congratulations, Master Cthulhu. You've been baptized by whimsy.
Vistarchi exhaled through her nose, fighting a smile.
At least it wasn't glitter this time.
Thor, bless his mortal soul, looked genuinely proud.
See? You connected.
I stared down at the technicolor atrocity sliding slowly off my robe. Connected, I repeated. With what? A Lisa Frank exorcism. Ah, the unicorn snorted delicately, tossed its invisible mane, and pranced a small smug circle around me. Thor folded his arms, grinning like a guidance counselor at the end of a very strange field trip.
Told you, man. You just had to stop overthinking.
I wiped at my chest, leaving streaks of liquid optimism. You realize, I said, I am banning color from this wing for a century. Madeline stirred her tea.
You said that after the frosting incident.
This time, I growled, with an underlying sense of pride, and dare I say, whimsy. I mean it. The library had gone still. For the first time in what might have been centuries, the silence did not accuse me. It laughed with me. Croissant-chan was doubled over, tears in her eyes. Vistarchi's hammer pulsed faintly with warmth instead of threat. Even Madeline, perfection incarnate in posture, was smiling without irony. And I, rainbow-stained, stood among them, realizing that perhaps the apocalypse could wait until after tea. The unicorn, if one could call an iridescent biochemical hallucination a unicorn, flicked its invisible tail, emitted a noise halfway between a trumpet and an apology, and expelled another polite stream of chromatic sludge onto my shoes. Normally, I would have banished it to a colorless dimension and billed it for emotional damage. But Croissant-chan's laughter, genuine, uncontrollable, alive, made the whole humiliation feel strangely tolerable. Perhaps, I murmured, fun is merely a lower form of entropy. Madeline smirked.
Progress. Master Cthulhu. You've defined joy as decay. We'll call that a win.
Thor grinned.
Hey man, look at you, covered in rainbows, finally smiling. That's character development.
I turned to him, half amused. If you say growth arc, I will collapse this room into a singularity. He held up his hands, still grinning.
No judgment, dude. Just proud of you.
I stared at the shimmer as it folded in on itself. Glitter spiraling like bad confetti. And then that's when things got weird. The shimmer convulsed, folding through itself like a soap bubble, deciding to become a thesis. Light bent, regretted it, and then started clapping for itself. A hoof appeared first, elegant, arrogant, and then unmade, unraveling upward into geometry that thought too highly of symmetry. The air filled with the scent of ozone, vanity, and very faint cologne, marketed as mischief noir. The silhouette sharpened, horns melting into cheekbones, glitter collapsing into a suit that tailored itself mid-wink. A cigarette would have been gauche, so naturally he conjured a cigar, long, dark, self-aware, and lit it with a spark stolen from his own smirk. When the last fragments of unicorn evaporated, Loki stood there, every molecule rehearsed. Smoke curled around him like punctuation waiting for applause.
Well,
He said, voice honeyed with smug irony.
I was trying subtlety, but then you started moral monologuing.
He flicked ash into the metaphysical carpet.
But I can't let you have all the fun, can I?
I began, holding the half-collapsed espresso machine like evidence. I made an espresso machine out of your throw-up. I learned about fun and whimsy through your throw-up. Loki dusted off his clothes, then smiled as if I'd just quoted scripture. He reached over, took a piece of Madeline's popcorn, and shrugged with divine indifference.
And now we're all more together than we've ever been before. Growth, unity, bodily fluids. It's practically team building. I'm basically taking over for your mother.
The room went still. Somewhere, a lightning bolt reconsidered its career. Thor frowned, static flickering through his hair.
Not cool, man. The big squid was learning. You could have stayed in character until the YouTube video ended. Now he's gonna want to turn you into an espresso machine, dude.
Loki laughed softly, the kind of laugh that files a lawsuit before you can react.
Oh, brother, please. I'd make an exquisite appliance. Chrome finish, limited edition. Comes with emotional baggage and a free trial of chaos.
I felt the sudden theological need to brush my teeth for half a day. An exorcism of all morality. Tell me, Loki, I said, every syllable scrubbed in contempt. Do you enjoy weaponizing enlightenment? Or is this merely your side hustle between betrayals? He winked at Croissant-chan, who was watching the scene with the radiant stupidity of daytime television.
Only on weekdays.
He purred, exhaling irony like a tax write-off. Thor looked genuinely disappointed.
Bro, you killed the whole vibe. He was right there, almost having fun.
Madeline threw away her popcorn bag and took out a small bottle of wine.
Technically, he did have fun. He just hates that you made it instructional.
Vistarchi nodded along.
Yep. There's nothing worse than a teachable moment.
Croissant-chan poked the espresso machine. It hissed, resentful.
Can we still keep it?
No, after what you witnessed, why would you? You know what? Whatever, I don't care. I'm filing this entire day under experiments that should have been denied funding. Loki spread his arms like a man unveiling a masterpiece.
Come on, Cthulhu. You laughed. You felt. You made art from regurgitation. That's practically motherhood.
Why are you like this? Thor leaned toward him.
Seriously, man, too soon.
Loki placed his hands behind his back like the CEO of a company that specialized in creative accounting.
I was born too soon.
Madeline sighed and cursed affectionately in French.
And yet, somehow, never late.
I set the espresso machine on the table. It puffed a single self-satisfied heart into the air. Enough. Everyone out. I'm billing Loki for emotional damages and environmental glitter contamination. Thor patted my shoulder, sparks snapping gently.
Proud of you, dude. You almost enjoyed yourself.
I will deny it in every court of heaven and hell.
Classic growth response.
He said cheerfully while side-eyeing his brother. As they filed out, I looked down at the little machine. It burbled once, as if laughing. Somewhere in its steam, I thought I saw the faint outline of hooves, glitter and a rainbow. Or maybe just a reflection of my own ridiculousness. I decided not to check. Loki lingered by the door, tracing runes in the air with a finger that thought too highly of itself. A shimmering oval opened beside him, the color of bad decisions and northern lights. He turned back, smirking.
Oh, I almost forgot. Before I go, big guy, I got you a present.
I swirled the last of my espresso, an illegal concentration of unicorn serum, and sighed. If it's breathing, glowing, or has an agenda, keep it.
You're gonna love this one,
He said, stepping aside.
It's very family approved.
I turned, espresso halfway to my mouth, and peered through the portal, past Loki's eternally punchable face. My many eyes widened. The cup slipped from my grasp and shattered. On the other side, vast and calm, stood a familiar silhouette. Horns like crescents of night, eyes like eclipses, a smile shaped from primordial authority. Not a mounted trophy, not a memory. Mother. The black goat of the woods regarded me with a look that managed to combine pride, mischief, and mild disappointment in a single blink.
Well done, son.
She said, voice warm and terrible.
I'm proud of you.
And then she vanished, like an unpaid bill settling itself. The portal shimmered shut. Loki chuckled softly.
See? Family bonding. You're welcome.
I stared at the empty air. You brought my mother,
Technically, she RSVP'd herself.
he said, already stepping backward into the portal.
You should call her more often. Also, it's true that you only see unicorns when you learn to have more fun. So relax. I didn't really ruin your day. Anyway, toodles.
The rift sealed behind him with the smug finality of a signed receipt. The espresso machine hissed like a cat meowing underwater at SeaWorld. Somewhere in its steam, I swear I heard laughter. Hers or the universe's or both. Maybe it was Loki in disguise. Maybe we are all Loki in disguise. Whatever. I sighed in relief, retrieved my ledger, and wrote in the margin. Do not engage with unicorns. Consequences maternal.